There was an incident involving a fake patch, a drug dealer, and two holes in the desert in the ground.
Well, I was a new
Can you?
member in the club. I was in Los Angeles, and I think I was vice president at the time, possibly. And I told you I led from the front. I was a working president. I got out there in the field with my guys, and we got word that this guy was selling drugs in Los Angeles, and he had a fake Hells Angel patch. And so, we did some intel, and we found out his car, and we ID'd him, and I waited in the back of his car for 3 or 4 hours, and I was in the back, had a blanket over me, and I could literally hear him walking on the rocks. It was a parking lot with rocks in it, and I hear him walk up to the car, and the key in the door. And this is old school stuff. They didn't have the beepers then. You stick the key in the door and turn it. And these two guys got in the car. I popped up, and I had this silenced equipped 22. I stuck that gun in the back of his ear, and I told him keep his hands on the wheel. And the other guy told him to put his hands on the dash. And I said I came for the patch, and of course he played. I don't know what you're talking about. So we just said, well, let's go, man. And he goes, where are we going? I go, we're going to the desert, and see if your memory's any better out there. And we rode out to the desert on Highway 14. I don't even know where we went. Went way the hell out there. There was two cars, two teams, two-man teams in each car. I mean, it was very military-like. And we took these guys out to the desert. We had a car where we had everything in. Then we had a car where we had these two guys in. And, we actually, I don't know if you remember in the book, the car got stopped by the highway patrol.
Yep. Yeah.
And that highway patrolman, talk about instincts. This guy could see or feel there was something shady going on. And he just told us to leave. And,
well, I mean, the way you described it, you'd have to be blind not to be with a sense, especially as a law enforcement person, right?
Yeah.
You've been trained to look at certain things. So you got these guys who look like outlaws sitting in these cars with their hands covered with jackets. And
exactly. They had handcuffs on. Each guy, there was a guy in the front sitting shotgun, and then there was a guy on the left in the back seat. And I'm not going to mention his name. He might not want me to, but he told him, he said, if you guys say anything, he goes, I'm going to shoot that cop in the face, and I'm going to fucking put one in each of your heads. And we got gasoline in the back. I'm going to fire off the car. We're just going to leave you guys here. Fuck the patch. And so they didn't say a word. We went out there, and I had the one guy, the guy with the patch, I made him dig both graves. And
now the second grave was for a guy who had nothing to do with the drug dealer, except for the fact that he was getting in the car to probably cop.
Yeah.
Right?
You know how that shit goes,
and he knew you, didn't he?
What's that?
The passenger. The guy who got in the car. He knew you.
Yeah, he knew who I was. And he told me, because I know who you are, man. I'm not going to say nothing. And I was like, man, you should have told me you knew who I was. And I just said, and he goes, can I come back? Will you bring me back? And what are you going to tell a guy? I said, sure. And then when we got out there and they started digging the second grave, he goes, I thought you said I was coming back. And I said, come on, man.
Right.
And
so this struck me as I'm taking this in. I'm like, okay, now you've been discovered, right? You've got this patch. They know you've got this patch. You know that they're a serious organization. You go all the way out to the desert. You literally dig an entire hole, and the whole time, yeah, the guy, right?
Yeah.
So in the whole time, you don't think, let me stop. Look, I got the patch. Like you're just gonna dig your own grave.
Well, that's what he did. He dug his own grave, and he dug the other guy's grave. And then I think what got him was, I said, let's go up to the front of the car, and the sun was setting, and we were leaning against the car. There was the two guys, myself, and then there was three other Hells Angels there. We came in two separate cars, and I said, let's watch the sunset. And I told the guy, this is going to be your last one, my friend. Enjoy it. And he just broke down when I said that. And he goes, what would happen if we went back to town and I gave you the patch? And I just went, oh. I go, there it is there. I go, you got the patch. And he goes, yeah, but what's going to happen? You know? And I said, well, we're going to go back to town. You're going to give us a patch and we're going to tax you. And then we're going to go our separate ways. And, you know, we went out there. But it's interesting, and you'll remember this in the book. One of the guys got so mad he tased the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those old tasers with the hooks and it.
Yes, with the prongs.
Yeah, the guy pulled the patch out of the closet and held it up, and he got so mad he looked at him and he shot him with the taser, and the guy was flopping around on the floor. And you know, I mean, we did tax the guy. We took 2 pounds of cocaine, $30,000, and maybe
2 keys, right? You took 2 keys. 2 keys of coke from him.
2 keys of coke.
Yeah.
And $30,000, a bunch of maybe $10,000 of jewelry, and we left him there, you know, and we never heard from him again. We went back to Ventura, and well, we were in Ventura then, so yeah, I was probably vice president or president then, and I was president then, and we put all the jewelry on the table, let all the members take whatever they wanted. I didn't wear jewelry, so I didn't wear rings, so I let anybody wanted anything, and split the cocaine up, put a bunch of rails out on the bar, and we partied the rest of the night, you know. But I mean, I was happy to get home, but you know, I learned a lot about myself, about my resolve, and you know how far I was willing to take this thing. You know, it's you know, you were in the game. You know what it's like, man. You get put in a situation, maybe you really don't want to do it, but it's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah, and for a penny and for a pound.
There you go, right there.
How good was the patch?
You know, it wasn't that good, and I'll tell you, that's why he never wore it. I was told he always had it over his arm. They said you could see the letters, and, you know, he couldn't have worn it on a bike, and people would have known it was bogus. Especially we had been pretty active in Los Angeles, so people were starting to get a feel in Southern California for the patch kids. But you have to understand, in California, up in the Bay Area, there was like 11 charters all together. And in Southern California, you had Los Angeles, you had San Bernardino, and you had San Diego. So you only had 3. I think the population was probably a lot bigger down here, but you only had 3 Hells Angel charters. So they didn't get seen as much. But the patch, it was okay, but it wasn't good.